Say hello. Stand on one foot.
I can't in these shoes. I'm not going to put this on anything, right?
Morning, guys.
Morning, guys.
Pretty good. Tell me about Tay-Road.
We design and make our own t-shirt using a brother printer and a heat press. Bring us your design, but print out t-shirts, socks, bags, tablecloths. Don't matter.
You're out of the Stafford,
I'm Stafford, Kansas.
and you're part of the SEED program.
Yep.
Why?
Entrepreneurship class.
Do you have a website people can go to?
Yes, it's on all of our pencils. It's Stafford Seed Center, http web.mac.com/seed chart.
Excellent. Well, thank you for coming in today. Thanks for your time, and we'll see if we can get some information out.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks a lot. I'll be out there.
Hurry up, Brandon. He's not gonna get done in a minute.
Adriel, you got the gear on?
I did last year.
Did you?
Yeah. What does it mean?
I'll never let you go in. We got to close it.
Brandon, you're looking good. You're not gonna get done.
Hi there. We don't have a page.
Watch out.
11:30. How close are we to lunch break? 30 minutes.
And what we're going to do is we're going to do a program this afternoon. Also, I brought Trooper Gary Warner with me. We're the public resource officers. I cover 24 counties in the southwest part of the state, which a number of the people in this room are. He covers the other portion. He's out of Wichita. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick program for you. The one thing I'd like to do is I'd kind of like to get a feel for some of the things that there are several things that were mentioned to me as far as topics that they would the thing that we want to really emphasize to you is we have several things that I want to talk about, but we kind of want to see what way we want to go. The first thing I'd like to see is, first of all, how many people do we have that have driver's license? Okay, probably over a third, close to a half. Now, how many are really wanting to get a driver's license? Okay, now, that's... Gary Now, one thing that we'll do is I've got some information up here in regards to the driver's license. One of the things that I was asked to talk about is, first of all, keep in mind that when you go in for a driver's license, there are avenues if you have difficulty reading. Now, the one thing that I'd like to mention to you, we have several sites set up in the state of Kansas, and ones around here are the ones that we're going to cover. We have a site at Garden City, we have a site at Dodge City, we have a site at Hayes, and we also have a site at Wichita that are equipped with computers that read the questions for the written test. They go through, put some headphones on, and it reads the test completely to you. Now, if you go to any other site, you do not have that equipment, and they will not be able to provide that service. So like I said, Garden City, Dodge City, Hayes, and Wichita have that equipment that will read the test to you. The other thing you've got to consider this as well, the Department of Revenue is equipped for special restrictions under special situations. Now, the reason we can't go any more into that is it has to be done by a one-on-one basis. You know, they'll go, if you go in and talk to the driver's license examiners and see if there's certain issues that they need to know about, if there's things that they can do to limit you so that you can still drive a car but under some type of restriction. So that's another thing that you want to look into as well. The Department of Revenue is more than happy to talk with you about any type of issues like this, and they would be happy to help you. Now, another thing that we should mention, and one of the things that I'd like to mention, how many's on a restricted driver's license? Not very many. Well, we won't spend a lot of time there. We'll just leave that. Okay, that sounds good. But those issues, if you go in to get a driver's license, the one thing is what you'll have to do initially is get an instructional permit, and you'll have to hold that for a period of 1 year. And then you'll be eligible to get a restricted driver's license at that point. So other than that, that's about all the ground we need to cover there. I think that'll work the best. Now, let's move on to some other things that we need to talk about. One of the things that I saw a lot today, myself and Gary were talking about quite a bit, is what did everybody seem to have in their hands while they were here today? That's exactly where we're at. Now, the thing is Gary, he's actually electronically literate. I'm not. You know, Gary still gives his phone to his girls when they need to be fixed. I give it to my kids the same way. But he actually can do, he's got it scheduled on his phone. I tell you what. Now, I can turn it on. I got a screen, you see, I turned it on. I did. And I can actually make a phone call on it. I can text message because that's the only way I can communicate with my kids. You know, and they don't understand why I spell out all the words, but I do. I spell out the words. When you spell it all out, I don't understand what they're saying. You know, the one other thing that I can do is put HUH. Well, I can put that on there all the time because I never can figure out what they're trying to tell me back. Now, the problem that we have here, this is the problem. You know that. You guys have made it a problem. You think about the number of texts, you think about the number of phone calls, really not the phone call, the number of texts that you guys make, and also, you also think about something else. You know, when Gary and I were in high school, and we can think back and forth, he's the same age as I am, we both came on together. We started our 25th year with Highway Patrol, June 18th. Now, we're getting there. But the one thing is we didn't even have anything. And you know what? We existed. We really did. It was hard. It really was hard. You know, I don't know how we made it through, but we did it. We really did. And now, you guys, you think about how far you've went. You guys get to the point, this isn't a communication device. You have literally made your life. And that's when we're getting in. And, you know, I don't know if you paid any attention on television, but all of a sudden, look what's cropped up. Now they have treatment centers for cell phones and texting. Have you seen it yet? They've got it. They're getting them on the coast because this is becoming such a disease. Now, let me start off by saying this. Believe me, it has just as big effect in South Central and Southwest Kansas as it does on the coast. Because you guys have to know every minute minute, every second of every day what all your friends are doing. And you have the possibility of doing that. So let me share something with you. A few months ago, we had a parent that called and they were looking for their daughter. She left in a pickup. She had been gone a number of hours and they were getting very concerned. When they started calling around, the text messages had stopped to the friend. They got up to a point and it just cut off. It ended. And it literally had. That girl was going down the roadway in that pickup, and she was making all kinds of plans for her destination and where her friends were at. She had sent 6 text messages, not sent and received, had sent 6 text messages in 3 minutes. Man, I tell you, and that's going down the road driving. So you know what her driving skills were like. Now, the other problem with that is somewhere during that 6th text message, she went off the edge of the roadway, overcorrected, went off the other edge of the roadway, the vehicle overturned. The other mistake was made as well. She did not have a seatbelt. She was thrown from the vehicle, and she was underneath it. And she died instantly. Took us about 2.5 hours to find the pickup and her, but that's what we found. Folks, there is no reason to cut life short just to know whether or not a friend has gone to the bathroom. There's no reason to know that. You know, you guys are always sending things and you're thinking, my gosh, they sent that, yeah. You know how needless and how senseless some of the things are to be sent. Now, I have a video that was made by AT&T in conjunction. It was made, everything that we show in this video either happened in Colorado, Kansas, or in Missouri. There is also an example in it, and it shows one of our Kansas Highway Patrol reports. That particular crash took place just outside of Manhattan. The other thing is we're going to cover a lot about seatbelts today, and I want you to listen closely. They're going to talk about the fact that that young lady was thrown from the vehicle. She did not die because of the text message. The crash happened because of the text message. She died because she didn't have a seatbelt on, and she was 300 feet. You listen to them. 300 feet from the vehicle. And was killed. Now, let me show you this. Go ahead and shut those lights off. There's something that a lot of the young kids have shown me. I don't know a lot about the phones, but I have sat down with them and listened to them. And I don't know, do you guys know about those new applications that you have available on your phone? There's a new application that you have available on your phone that, we'll say that your vehicle has that new InSync that will sync with your phone. When your vehicle is on, your phone will automatically give a response that you're driving. Now, the other thing that these apps will do is if you just would do it, you can actually click that app even if you don't have an InSync system in your vehicle. And what it will do is it will go ahead and send that same message. And then that way the phone's not going to go off. Because, you know, we're human. If the phone rings, we'll pick it up. And that way, it'll take it out of the equation. The other thing I like to ask you to do is put it in your glove compartment. Take it completely out of the equation. You know, if there's something that you need that is that important, find a safe spot along the roadway, pull over. My gosh, you can sit out there until the battery runs down. We don't care. But you're no consequence to anybody, including yourself. The other thing that I would really wish that they would do away with is a number of years ago they came up with the term multitasking. And you know what? You look at all the studies. There is not a human on this planet that is capable of multitasking. You're lying to yourself. What you do is if you've got a phone in your hand, anything, if you have things separated in your mind, and you're trying to do more than one task at one time, think about it. What you're doing is you're giving half your attention to one thing and half your attention to the other. You're splitting your attention. And I don't know, there's just something about 85,000 pounds worth of truck, and there's just something about 30 million pounds of train that's hurtling down in close proximity to your vehicle that I think deserves your fullest attention. The other thing that you've got to realize is your life depends on that decision. You need to take it very seriously. Now, a couple of things that we have. I've got something that things we've got kind of serious here, so let's show you something else. Now, before we get into some what-if decisions, let me show you some people that's made some minor mistakes, okay? That'd probably be the best way to prep them. And in some cases, you can kind of, really and truly, you can sympathize with some of these people. Because when you guys are having a really bad day, and everything that can go wrong is went wrong, that's when this stuff happens. All of us have been there. You know, we've all had our own reasons. But the one thing that we really want to stress to you, I'm going to talk about the split-second decisions. And it's part of a defensive driving course that myself and Gary teach. And what it is it's just things for you to think about. Those what-if things. The bad part that we have here is it's like this. In southwest Kansas and south central Kansas, you think about it. You know, one thing that we do not have in these areas out here is slow speeds. The other thing that we do not have is a lack of trucks. And you know, the bad thing about it is in many cases out here, we don't have a lot of wrecks, but the ones that we do are extremely costly. You know, you think about some of them that have taken place very recently. We had a very recent situation in which we had a minivan that was delivering food that they baked to a bunch of convenience stores. They were on their way back to their house here in southwest Kansas, and they pulled up to a major U.S. highway. They were on a state highway. They pulled up to a major U.S. highway and they stopped. They pulled directly out in front of the fully loaded semi. The semi completely ran over the van, and it burned. There were 4 people in the semi. Excuse me, there were 4 people in the van. The semi driver, he got out with minor injuries. But do you think that we had any chance? No. There was no chance at all in that van. Now, that's the reason that any time that you guys are going down the roadway, we want you to think about some place that you can go, some place you can get very quickly. Now, a quick question. Around here, is there any place that you can't easily leave the roadway? No, there's not. You know, the ditches are very forgiving. Got a lot of shoulders. The shoulder in many cases is not enough. We want you in the grass. We want you in that ditch. Do everything that you can to get away from these things. And that's what we're talking about today. Now, the first thing that you've got to do is once again, we talked a lot about the fact that you've got to keep your eyes moving. You've got to see what's going on around you. And in order to do that, once again, we've got to put that cell phone up and we've got to actively drive the car. The other thing that we've got to think about is when we're on the roadway, we can drive over more to the right edge of that lane. Every one of those lanes are 12 feet wide. Is your vehicle 12 feet wide? Absolutely not. There's nothing that says that you need to center yourself in the roadway. You can drive over more to the right edge, and that's going to get you that much closer to the escape route and off that roadway. Now, when you're on a roadway that has no markers, do we want you on the left side? Absolutely not. We want you over on the right, whether or not, you know, whatever the situation may be, because that's where you're supposed to be. That's where that oncoming traffic is expecting you to be. Now, anytime if there's any problem, what's the first thing we want you to do? Reduce speed as quickly as you can. Take off as much speed as you can, as fast as you can. Now, people always wonder, what does that make a difference? The thing that you've got to consider is the dynamics in a crash. Once you exceed 40 miles an hour, every 10 miles an hour that you sack on doubles the energy. 50 is twice the energy in the crash as 40 was. 60 is twice the energy as 50. That's why even 10 miles an hour in many cases, by you scrubbing off 10 miles an hour, it can take a crash and turn it from unsurvivable into survivable. That's why it's so important. The other thing that you've got to consider is always try to find it out. Always try to have somewhere to go to get yourself away from these dangers. Now, as far as the split-second decisions go, they're very simple. You're going down the roadway and all of a sudden there's a truck that's in your lane. Worst possible scenario. Worst possible scenario. 85,000 pounds of truck, legally at 65 miles an hour. Do you want to go to the right or do you want to go to the left? The right. Why? Why would you go to the right? That's it. And then there's something else. We'll say the truck driver has fallen asleep. If the truck driver were to wake up, where are they going to go? They're going back to the right. They're going back to their lane. That's why you want to always take yourself off the roadway and out of danger. Because what if they come back to the right where they're supposed to be, and you're to the left, you're lined up again. You want to leave the roadway. Get off the roadway and get away from it. Now, also be careful when you leave the roadway. Does anybody have any idea what the worst possible thing you can hit that's over off the roadway would be? A tree. A tree is one of the worst possible things that you can strike. Bridge pillar, something a box culvert. Those types of things. Now, utility pole's not too forgiving. No. I heard that. Yeah, I know there was a utility pole victim here today. That's right. He told me, I sheared it off. Yeah, he talked about he sheared it off. Now, are you going to shear off a tree? No, you're not. But the other thing you got to consider, now, let's think about this. What do we have a lot of out here? A lot of pasture fences. Is the pasture fence going to be a big problem for you? That's the place that we want to go. You know, you pick out the soft target. It sounds funny, but you pick out the soft target. The other thing that you want to do is, where are you going to steer? Have you ever thought about how people that go off the roadway, how they hit a utility pole or a tree right in the center of the vehicle? Have you ever thought about how they do that? They steer for you. They look at it. Now, where do you steer? You're looking, you're steering at where your eyes are looking. So where do we want to look? We want to look to safety. We don't want to look at danger. Because if we look at danger, we steer right directly toward it. So you always want to look away from those things because you are automatically going to steer that vehicle the way that you're looking. You always want to look to safety. Okay? Now, also, anytime that you've got a threat of an impact, the more that you can minimize that impact, the better off you're going to be by far. You know, if you can just move over just a little bit, in many cases, it makes it survivable. That's what we want you to do. That's what we're after today, is making these crashes survivable, or, better yet, avoiding the crash completely. Think about where you want to go. And don't ever be embarrassed about leaving the roadway. Who cares? The other thing is a rollover a lot more survivable than a head-on? Yes. If you have a seatbelt on, but think about it, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. The thing that claims between 70 and 80% of the people that are killed in car crashes is one vehicle rollovers. And those people definitely were not buckled in. That's the big killer, and that's sensitive. That's sensitive. It is. Okay? Now, we always got the I got this stuff. What?